Crony capitalism is destroying the economy. Well, what were we to make of the sluggish economy, the high unemployment rate, the decreasing labor force, and all of the other signs of recession and depression that surround us, and at the same time the record profits that banks are making, unbelievably high profits? The answer really is that the whole process of printing money wantonly, which the Fed is doing now, without any constraints, without any limitation of how much you print and any tying to gold or any other mechanism, is the enabler of crony capitalism. Because what's going on now is that the Federal Reserve, in its quantitative easing, is not doing this to help the economy, is not doing this to help average American Joe citizen. They're doing it to provide a ready supply of cash to their prime clients, who are the top banks, which they can then use personally and institutionally to make investments to get vast amounts of money in return and become immensely wealthy. The vast bulk of this money that's being injected every month is not making its way into the economy. The lending rates are not up. The borrowing rates are not up. The average small and medium-sized business is not using that money to stimulate the economy. People are not running to the bank to get car loans and home equity lines of credit to finance construction in their homes. What's happening is the bulk of this money is sitting right in the bank, and the bank owners and major stockholders and officers are using it as a personal kitty to play roulette, both on the derivative market internationally and the stock market in the United States and other stock exchanges around the world. They're making enormous profits, enormous personal income, and the institutions are making gigantic record earnings, all because of this ready supply of cash that is flowing into their coffers at zero interest rate as fast as the Fed can print it. That's why the stock market is going up, because they're using the stock market as a way of investing and increasing their profits. I believe that they will very soon stop and are likely to begin pulling their money out of the market relatively quickly. And I think there may well be a crash coming in the near future. We talked about that in previous videos. But it's important to understand the hand-in-glove relationship between the Fed printing money and crony capitalism that permits certain groups, largely major bankers, dramatically to increase their wealth. In that sense, the fiscal conservatism of the Tea Party that wants to either limit or abolish the Federal Reserve Board's ability to print money and maybe go back to the gold standard, and the plaintive cries of the Occupy Wall Street people who complain about the top 1%, meaning the top 100th of 1% in this case, really are singing from the same playbook, from the same song sheet, because they're describing both halves, both ends of the same phenomenon. A government gone wild with a printing press, and crony capitalists taking the money and using it to make vast personal profits. And they're making these profits with the absolute certainty that if the market fell apart and they had another financial crash, the government would come in and bail them out because they're too big to fail. And Dodd-Frank notwithstanding, it's very clear that they're able to bet on the upside because they're being protected on the downside by an implicit federal guarantee, which is the legacy of the TARP bill. This view of the world is brought to you in part by David Stockman, whose book, The Great Deformation, really changes the whole view of the 20th century economic history and does it in a way that is absolutely compelling. He was Reagan's former budget director, and I find his stuff just amazing. But it certainly casts this story of bank profits into a fascinating new light. Thanks for watching.